Chouriki Sentai. What up, you guys? It's Blackwing 2040. Welcome to another Super Sentai review. And as you can tell by the morphers that I'm wearing, it's time for the review of Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. This show came out in 1995, and it is also the season that gave us the fight footage and the suits for Power Rangers Zeo here in the States. Now, this was my second time watching this show. The first time I watched it, I thought it was mid. But actually sitting down and paying attention to every single thing that happens in every single episode, this show is trash. It is trash. It's, oh my gosh, it was not easy to sit through. I'm being very honest about that. But before I go into like my overall thoughts on the show and everything, let's talk about the synopsis first. 600 million years ago, Pangea created a robot named Bacchius Wrath, who ultimately turned on his creators. The King Ranger defeated Bacchius Wrath and banished him from Earth. In the year 1999, Bacchius Wrath returned to Earth as the ruler of the machine empire Baranoia with the intention of wiping out all of human life and bring about machine rule. Chief Counselor Miura revived super energies that had been born of the lost civilization of Pangea, with the intention of creating weapons to fight against Baranoia. The reassembling of a stone plate uncovered 3 years previously, the secrets of superpower were revealed, or Chouriki for that matter. Miura built a pyramid to generate tetrahedron power in order to allow 5 UAOH officers to transform into Ohrangers. That's the basic sum plot of Ohranger as a whole. Now, going into this show, I had to address some things. This show started off pretty heavy with those first 8 episodes in the show, but due to real life events that happened in Japan at that time, the show had to make a very drastic tonal shift, meaning whatever ideas that they had planned for the original for the show in the beginning got completely scrapped and everything was changed. So evidently it is the way it is. That's the reason why I can't say that's the reason why the show is bad, but Toei, I don't know what goes on with Toei. I wasn't there, but whatever decision that Toei made at that time, it had to be made. But evidently, that's what the final outcome came up with for Ohranger. Now, let's move on to the theme song of the show. Theme song is kind of raw. I'm being very honest. It's really, really kind of raw, especially when you listen to the whole theme song, in fact, and you just hear like the guitar solos in between the chorus and everything. It just seems very heroic from time to time. It's not bad. I would say it's kind of raw. It's like right there between raw, up there like low raw and high mid. It's all right. It's all right. Now, next up is the suits. I love these suits. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. And especially King Ranger's suit. Just how it looks so different from the other 5 suits. It is so beautifully designed. It just the gold vests on the center, the gold kneecaps, everything about King Ranger's suit itself is just so chef's kiss. And all the other Ranger suits are beautiful. Like the different shapes on the helmets and everything. It's just beautiful. I love those suits. They'll always be one of my favorite suits in Super Sentai and Power Rangers. Now, let's move on to the Rangers. And before I say anything about these Rangers, I have a heavy nitpick that I have with this. There is no backstory on these characters. The only people that really have a backstory is their mentor and King Ranger himself. But the main 5, we don't know nothing about these characters. We don't know who they are besides their names. We don't know where they came from. We don't know how they joined UAOH. We have absolutely no backstory or history with these characters, and there's no way you can make a connection with them at all. And that's a very heavy nitpick that I have with the show. But outside of that, I will tell you who these Rangers are. First up, we have Goro, or Captain Goro, who is O-Red. And he's not bad as a leader. He really knows how to take charge. He's very cool-headed in the moment. Sometimes he can be very stubborn to a certain extent. But he's not a bad leader. It's just, again, it just depends. He doesn't have that much of a motivation at all to do anything. There's really not much to really say about him outside of the fact that he's the captain of the team. That's it. Next up, you have Shohei O. Green. He is, I could say, the muscle of the team. He's also a boxer. When you see the fight footage of him, he's always in like a boxing stance. So he pretty much practices many forms of boxing, which is very interesting. Outside of that, he's nothing more. There's nothing more you can really say about him. However, he is very heartfelt with protecting people, and that's good. But with a show like this, or better yet, just for a character, you need more than that to figure out what makes him do the things that he does. And we don't really get that with Shohei, other than the fact that he gets a few episodes, like especially episodes that focuses on his boxing style, and he comes back to his mentor, and even Goro kind of helps out with Shohei, and his Shohei's mentor ends up training Goro for to fight another monster. That's about it. But Shohei doesn't really get much to do anyway either. Next up is Yuji, also known as O Blue. I feel like he got so many focus episodes, and yet you still know nothing about this character at all. He's not that smart. He's not that bright. He's just very he he's pretty much his own worst enemy. Everything that happens to him is mostly because of his fault. That's really the bad thing about this character. There's nothing more I can say about him. It's just weird that he gets a lot more focused episodes than the rest of them. And I was counting them and paying attention. I just feel like he got more focused episodes than everybody else on the team, which is very weird. Next up is Juri, aka O Yellow. She's pretty much the girly girl of the team. And again, we don't know much about her. It's just that she's known as like the fashionista of the team, and that's it. But I just wish there was more to her character that we know about. But besides that, sometimes her focus episodes are paired with O Pink as well. But other than that, there's not really much I can say about O Yellow at all. It sucks. All right, the next Ranger is Momo, also known as O Pink. She's really the brains of the team. And again, her focus episodes kind of like interact with more with O Yellow. And I feel like her focus episodes are very interesting, but again, doesn't really build much on her character at all. And that's also a heavy problem. I wish they did more with her, but they did not. And it's funny because her character makes a reappearance in Gokaiger. Her and O-Red make a reappearance in Gokaiger. So sorry for spoilers if you guys haven't watched Gokaiger, but it's very interesting. Of all people from the Ohranger cast, that we got Red and Pink, and they kind of give them a little bit of something. I feel like they got a lot more to do in Gokaiger than they did in their own show, which is very interesting to me. All right, the final Ranger is Riki, aka King Ranger. Now Riki is basically the man out of time because he was from the year 600 million years ago. He fought Bachia's Wrath way back when. After he defeated him, he was put into suspended animation, then released into modern times to continue to protect the world from paranoia. And again, he has a backstory. The fact I'm able to explain this backstory about the sixth Ranger of the team versus everybody else, it's a problem, a very big problem. But one thing I say, I do like Riki. He's not around that much, which is weird, but still, Sentai is still trying to find their footing when it comes to six Rangers and having them interact with the team as much as they can. But, however, Riki's really dope. It's cool whenever he's on screen, especially when he's fighting with the other O Rangers. I always love seeing that. And that's pretty much all the Rangers of the team. Now, let's move on to the supporting characters. We have the team mentor, Chief Mihura, who is played by none other than Toku legend Hiroshi Miyauchi. This man has a resume in Toku history. He is Kamen Rider V3. He is Owl Ranger from Go Ranger. He is Big One from Jacka. He is Zubat as well. This man has done it all. And the fact that he came back to a Sentai show where he's the mentor of the team, that is amazing. I feel like I was mostly enjoying the show whenever he was on screen, which is, I'm sorry, but look, when you got a legend who's been in like two of the big Toei Toku shows, Rider and Sentai, it's your game. You're pretty much set. You're set. And I love his character. and to the fact that he kind of has a bit of, not really a grudge, but he has a few skeletons of it in his closet, because when he was creating the process of getting the Chouriki together and creating the mechs, two people died on his watch, which is very, of course, very interesting and giving his character some more depth and backstory versus what we got with the Rangers. But he's still a great mentor, though. He's still a great mentor. I love his character. All right, next supporting character we have Gun Majin. Now, the thing about Gun Majin is this. We are back to another character who's always interacting with children. It's just every time Gun Majin is around, he's always interacting with a child. I don't know what it is with Sentai and having all these characters, like, I wouldn't say mascot characters, but these specific extra heroes slash, extra characters, but they're only there to like appeal to, whenever you see them, there's always a child around to interact with them. And what Gun Majin is like, he's basically kind of like a genie. So basically, he has a key in his tiki form. So anybody that could unlock him, he's basically their master. So he's like a genie, and it's like he grants any wish. But he's just there. That's all I can say about Gun Majin. He's just there. And the last supporting character I want to talk about is Dorian. Dorian is a little girl and pretty much a species of individuals who live on the planet where Chouriki comes from. And their job is basically to protect each planet from paranoia. Riki is in charge of protecting this Dorian, who is pretty much assigned to planet Earth. And she doesn't really do much. It's just that she's there to basically, her power is that she can improve nature and animals alike. And Riki is basically her protector. And that's about it. There's nothing really more you can say about Dorian as a whole. But she's there. And that's about it. Now, on to the villains. The main villain, Bacchius Wrath, he is a force to be reckoned with. And what I find very interesting is that he kicks the bucket literally, I wouldn't say not halfway, but like 3/4 into the show. I'm surprised that they decided to get rid of him so early. But the thing is about Bacchius Wrath, he cares about his family, of course, and he's always straight up on wanting to take the world by storm. Hence, the heavy invasion force that he brought in the very beginning of the show. And then the many times that he tries to face the Ohrangers, he is not afraid to get his hands dirty. So that's one thing I can say I like about Bacchius Wrath. Now, his wife, Hysteria. I was surprised at how involved into the plans she was in this show. You never really see that many Sentai villainesses. They're probably just like, kind of like a general to a certain point. But Hysteria, again, she was not afraid to get her hands dirty as well. She's very loving of her husband, especially her son as well. But she was never afraid to get her hands dirty. But the one thing I found very interesting of her character is just after Bacchius Wrath got killed, and she's the one that kind of takes over Paranoia for the time being. And there comes to a point in the end of the show where, again, when I get to bringing up these other characters, it kind of makes sense. So after her husband is destroyed, Bacchius Wrath gives his powers to his son, Bulldont. And I might as well start talking about Bulldont right now. So Bulldont is the son of Hysteria and Bacchius Wrath. Later in the middle of the show, a new character or villain steps in to try to take over the Paranoia Empire. But in his way of trying to overthrow them, he also ends up killing Bulldont as well. And then Bacchius Wrath gives his last remaining energies to his son, and Bulldont becomes Kaiser Bulldont. And that in this form, he becomes the new ruler of the Paranoia Empire. And he's really trying to take the world by storm in this form. And I should also mention this other character. Her name is Multiwa. She is Hysteria's niece. She's a character that comes in later on in the show. Hysteria calls her for help so she could take care of this other bad guy who I'm going to get to soon. I'm going to mention. And then later on down the line, Bulldont and Multiwa get married, and then sooner or later they have a kid, which is weird. Bulldont marries his cousin, They become husband and wife, and they have a child. What else is new? It's Super Sentai. Just roll with it. That's all I could say. But the interesting fact about it is, after Bulldog and Multiwar are defeated, Hysteria is left trying to take care of the child. But right when the Ohrangers are about to like kill her, she's pleading for mercy to the Ohrangers, like, please don't kill the child. And the child is a robotic child. And it's very interesting that they try to, give her some depth and sympathy, show some form of emotion near the end of the show, the very end in the final episode. And then once the Ohrangers retract their decision on trying to kill the child, she blows herself up. Like, she straight up commits suicide, destroys herself. So it's like the child is left without a parent. And so Gun Majin takes the child and says he'll raise it and protect it like it's his own, which is very interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much how the show ended. And the last character I want to talk about, the last villain of the show, is Bomber the Great. He is the one that tried to overthrow the Baranoia Empire, but I forgot the reason why he escaped for some reason. And then after Bachia's rap kicked the bucket, he found out this is his chance to finally take the Baranoia Empire into his hands. But it didn't work. I mean, he did end up destroying Bulldome, but he didn't count for Bulldome being repaired and getting ambushed by Multiwa at the same time. So he only had a short lifespan on the show, and that's about it. Oh, I forgot one more characters to bring up. Acha and Kocha. These two are the butlers of the royal family, and pretty much their jobs is basically to make the monsters grow. And that's basically it. Funny enough, I'm surprised that these two actually make it to the end without dying. So I guess they're with them making it to the end, I guess is a way to reform them. But I'm surprised, because I remember the first time I watched the show, I could have sworn that these two never made it to the end. Because usually in Sentai shows, whenever it gets to the end, the whole villain faction, well, not the whole villain faction, majority of the villain faction gets killed off. And there's probably like one or two remnants of characters from the villain faction that decide to reform themselves near the end. Sometimes. It's like 50-50 when that happens. But I'm surprised that Acha and Kocha actually made it to the very end. But other than that, those are all the characters in Ohranger. Some things I could say that I liked about the show is just the way how the show films its fight scenes. The many different tracking shots that it has, and especially in the different locations that they film them at, it is very, very good. It's very visually stunning. I love how they track the shots, especially in the different fight scenes and everything. It is very stunning. Also, they don't really do too much with the whole child per episode thing. They're starting to step away from that here, which is good, because sometimes that tends to get annoying. But overall, though, Ohranger is not the best. It's not a really great show, in my opinion. If you've seen Ohranger and if you like it, more power to you. But watching this show for a second time, this show sucks. It is trash. And I don't see myself rewatching this show anytime soon, or even ever again for that matter. So, yeah. That's my review of Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. In the comment section below, tell me, what did you think of Ohranger? Did you think it was good? Did you think it was bad? Are you very in between on it? Tell me in the comment section below, and be civil in the comments and respect other people's opinions. So next time, folks, it will be my review of the show that gave us Power Rangers Turbo, Gekiso Sentai Car Ranger. I'm very looking forward to watching this show, because Car Ranger was a show I didn't really kind of like in the beginning, but I sort of start to like see the appeal to it in the middle. So I want to see if my opinion for Car Ranger will improve for the better. But in the meantime, folks, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to be notified. Follow me on all my socials, and if you want to check out Ohranger, I will leave a link to the DVD in the description below. But until then, folks, I am Vengeance, I am Darkness, I am Black. Stay golden.